Hey guys, tonight we begin with something extraordinary. A place where geology meets luxury, where ancient formations become your bedroom walls, and where the very air you breathe has been filtered through millions of years of crystalline perfection. We're diving into what it's actually like to fall asleep inside a crystal cave hotel. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Picture this. You've just checked into what might be the most unusual hotel room on Earth. The lobby was impressive enough, carved directly into living rock with reception desks that looked like they'd been sculpted by ancient water and time. But nothing prepared you for this moment. The hotel staff handed you a key that feels heavier than normal, made of polished stone with your room number etched in gold. They smiled and said, "Room 47. Down the corridor, follow the ambient lighting, and remember to breathe deeply. The air here is different. Different doesn't begin to cover it. As you walk down this corridor, the walls aren't painted drywall or elegant wallpaper. They're raw, living cave formations. Stalactites hang overhead like nature's chandeliers, some thin as drinking straws, others thick as ancient columns. The floor beneath your feet is smooth but irregular, worn by countless years of mineral deposits and underground water flow. Every step echoes softly, creating this intimate acoustic signature that makes you feel like you're walking through a cathedral designed by the earth itself. The lighting is subtle, almost mystical. LED strips are embedded discreetly into the rock formations, casting warm amber and cool blue hues that dance across the crystalline surfaces. It's not harsh or artificial. Instead, it mimics the way sunlight might filter through colored glass. Except here, the glass is natural crystal formations that have been growing for millennia. The effect is hypnotic. Every surface seems to shimmer and pulse with its own inner light. You reach room 47, and the door is unlike anything you've ever seen. It's not wood or metal, but a carefully fitted stone slab that slides open with surprising smoothness. The mechanism is hidden, operated by your stone key card through some sort of proximity sensor. As it opens, you step inside and immediately understand why people travel from across the globe to experience this. Your bedroom is carved directly into the cave system. The ceiling arches naturally overhead, following the contours that water carved over countless centuries. But what takes your breath away are the walls. They're not just rock. They're embedded with crystals, actual crystals. Amethyst formations catch the light and throw back deep purples and lavenders. Quartz deposits create natural mirrors that reflect and multiply the ambient lighting. Rose quartz sections add warm pink hues that make the entire space feel like it's glowing from within. The bed itself is positioned perfectly to take advantage of this natural light show. It's elevated on a platform that appears to be carved from a single massive stone formation. But when you sit on it, you realize it's actually quite comfortable. The mattress is memory foam, covered in linens that feel impossibly soft against your skin. The headboard is a natural rock formation that's been polished smooth, with small crystal deposits that catch and scatter light like stars. But here's what makes this truly special. As you settle in and the automatic lighting system dims to simulate evening, you start to notice sounds you've never heard before. There's the distant, almost musical drip of water somewhere deeper in the cave system. Each drop creates a tiny echo that reverberates through the stone chambers, creating this natural percussion that's more soothing than any white noise machine. There's also a subtle whoosh of air circulation, not from any mechanical system, but from the natural breathing of the cave itself. Underground chambers expand and contract with temperature changes, creating gentle air currents that flow through your room like the softest breeze. The temperature is perfect, naturally regulated by the Earth's thermal mass. It's cool enough to be refreshing, but warm enough that you don't need heavy blankets. The humidity is ideal too, kept constant by the underground water systems and the natural mineral content of the air. Your skin feels hydrated without being damp. Your breathing feels clearer and deeper than it has in months. You explore your room more thoroughly and discover amenities you never expected. There's a bathroom carved into an alcove with a shower that uses warm spring water that bubbles up from deep underground. The water has a slight mineral content that makes your skin feel silky and rejuvenated. The toilet is modern and efficient, but it's built into the rock in such a way that it feels like a natural part of the cave system. Even the mirror is positioned to take advantage of natural crystal formations that provide the most flattering lighting you've ever experienced. There's a small sitting area with chairs carved from stone but cushioned with fabric that matches the earth tones of the cave. A reading light is positioned perfectly, and you notice a small collection of books left by previous guests. They're stories about underground exploration, geological wonders, and meditation practices. Someone has left a journal where visitors can record their experiences, and flipping through it, you read entries from people all over the world describing their nights in these crystal caves. One entry, from a woman in Tokyo, talks about how the absolute silence helped her sleep deeper than she had in years. A man from New York describes waking up feeling like he'd been recharged by the earth itself. A couple from Australia wrote about how the crystal formations created the most romantic atmosphere they'd ever experienced. Reading these accounts, you start to understand that this isn't just a hotel room. It's a transformative experience. As you prepare for sleep, you notice how the cave responds to your presence. The crystals seem to pulse gently with your breathing. The ambient lighting automatically adjusts to your movement, brightening slightly when you're active and dimming when you settle down. It's like the room itself is alive, responding to your biological rhythms and helping guide you toward rest. You slip into the incredibly comfortable bed and immediately feel the difference. Without the electromagnetic interference of modern buildings, without the constant hum of electronics and air conditioning systems, without the urban noise pollution that most of us have learned to tune out, your nervous system begins to down-regulate in ways you didn't know were possible. Your phone, which you've placed on the stone nightstand, shows full signal strength thanks to carefully placed repeaters. But somehow you don't feel the urge to check it constantly. The darkness here isn't like darkness anywhere else. It's complete, but not oppressive. The crystal formations continue to emit the faintest glow, like stars viewed from deep space. Your eyes adjust, and you can make out the shapes and contours of your crystal cathedral bedroom. The ceiling formations create patterns that shift and change as your perspective changes, like looking up at clouds, but made of stone and crystal instead of vapor and light. The air you're breathing has been filtered through miles of rock and crystal, emerging pure and rich with negative ions that are known to improve mood and sleep quality. Each breath feels clean and energizing, yet deeply relaxing. The mineral content in the air, invisible but present, affects your body chemistry in subtle ways that promote deeper rest and more vivid dreams. As you lie there, you start to hear the cave's night sounds more clearly. There's a distant echo of underground water, not rushing like a river, but moving slowly and deliberately through hidden channels carved over geological time. Occasionally, you hear the soft plink of a mineral-rich droplet landing in an underground pool, creating ripples that you can almost feel through the stone. These aren't disturbing sounds. They're the Earth's lullaby, a rhythm that connects you to processes that have been going on since long before humans existed and will continue long after we're gone. The bed itself seems to cradle you in ways that go beyond physical comfort. The stone platform beneath the mattress retains the Earth's thermal energy, providing gentle, consistent warmth that penetrates deep into your muscles. It's like being held by the planet itself, supported by forces that are literally foundational. Your body begins to relax in stages, starting with the obvious tension in your shoulders and neck, then progressing to deeper layers of stress that you didn't even realize you were carrying. This is when you start to understand why people describe sleeping in crystal caves as a spiritual experience. It's not just the novelty or the luxury, though both are certainly present. It's the profound sense of connection to something larger and older and more permanent than the rushing temporary concerns of daily life. Here, surrounded by formations that took millions of years to create, your perspective shifts. Problems that seemed urgent this morning feel smaller and more manageable. Worries about tomorrow fade into a broader understanding of time and your place in it. The crystal formations around you have been growing imperceptibly for longer than human civilization has existed. They'll continue growing long after your brief stay here ends. There's something deeply comforting about being held within these ancient processes, being part of a story that's so much bigger than any individual human narrative. You're not just sleeping in a hotel room, you're resting within the Earth's own architecture, in spaces that have been millions of years in the making. As your breathing slows and deepens, matching the cave's own respiratory rhythm, you realize this is what people mean when they talk about grounding. Not just the New Age concept of connecting to Earth's energy, but the literal, physical experience of being held and supported by the planet's own structures. The crystals around you aren't just beautiful decorations. They're active geological processes, still growing, still changing, still interacting with the water and minerals that flow through this underground system. Your last conscious thought before drifting off is how different this feels from any other sleep environment you've ever experienced. Hotel rooms usually feel temporary and anonymous. Your own bedroom at home is familiar, but often cluttered with the residue of daily stress. But here, in this crystal cave, sleep feels like participating in something timeless and sacred. The transition into sleep happens differently here. In your normal bedroom, you might toss and turn, adjust pillows, check your phone one last time, or lie awake thinking about tomorrow's obligations. But in this crystal cave, sleep approaches like a tide. It doesn't arrive suddenly. Instead, it seeps in gradually, the way groundwater moves through limestone, inevitable and gentle. Your body temperature naturally begins to drop, but instead of feeling cold, you feel perfectly calibrated. The stone platform beneath your mattress has been absorbing the Earth's consistent temperature all day, and now it releases that stored thermal energy back to you in measured doses. It's like sleeping on the world's most sophisticated heating pad, one that's been fine-tuning its temperature regulation for geological ages. The sounds of the cave shift as night deepens. That distant water drip becomes more pronounced, not louder, but somehow more present in your consciousness. Each drop seems to echo through chambers you can't see, creating a three-dimensional audio landscape that surrounds your bed. There's something hypnotic about this rhythm. It's not mechanical like a metronome or clock. It's organic, varying slightly in timing and tone, based on humidity, air pressure, and the microscopic changes happening within the cave system itself. You become aware of your own heartbeat synchronizing with these natural rhythms. Your pulse, which might race with caffeine or stress during normal days, settles into a deeper, more primal cadence. It's as if your cardiovascular system is remembering an ancient pattern, aligning itself with the slow, patient processes that created this underground cathedral around you. The crystal formations seem to respond to your settling nervous system. As your brain waves shift from beta to alpha to theta, the subtle luminescence in the walls appears to pulse more gently. This isn't your imagination or some high-tech sensor system. It's the way crystalline structures interact with electromagnetic fields, including the bioelectric energy generated by your own body. As you relax more deeply, the crystals reflect that change, creating a feedback loop between your internal state and your environment. Your breathing deepens without conscious effort. The air here contains higher concentrations of negative ions, those invisible particles that are abundant near waterfalls and ocean waves but rare in urban environments. These ions affect your brain chemistry, promoting the production of serotonin and reducing cortisol levels. You're essentially breathing in natural mood stabilizers, molecules that have been charged by their journey through miles of mineral-rich rock. Dreams begin to form even before you're fully asleep. The boundary between waking and sleeping blurs in this environment because the cave itself exists in a timeless state. Day and night have no meaning here. Seasons don't penetrate. The temperature hasn't varied more than a few degrees in centuries. Your mind, accustomed to the constant temporal markers of modern life, starts to let go of its rigid scheduling. Clock time becomes irrelevant. Circadian rhythms give way to deeper, more ancient cycles. The dreams that come are unlike your usual sleep narratives. Instead of processing the day's events or working through anxiety scenarios, your subconscious seems to tap into older memory banks. You dream of vast underground oceans, of being held safely within the Earth's embrace while continents shift overhead. You experience the slow satisfaction of crystal growth, adding molecule by molecule to structures that will endure for millennia. These aren't chaotic dreams full of impossible situations and random imagery. They're coherent, peaceful narratives that feel more like memories than fantasies. Some visitors to Crystal Cave hotels report dreaming about geological time, experiencing the cave's formation from the perspective of the rocks themselves. Others dream of underground rivers and the creatures that have made these caves their homes over countless generations. Your sleep cycles through the usual stages, but each phase feels deeper and more restorative than normal. REM sleep, when it comes, is particularly vivid and meaningful. The crystal formations around you seem to amplify the electromagnetic activity of your dreaming brain, creating more intense and memorable dream experiences. Many guests wake up feeling like they've been given profound insights or creative inspirations during their crystal cave sleep. The absolute silence plays a crucial role in this deep rest. In most environments, even when we think it's quiet, there's a constant background of mechanical noise. Air conditioning units cycling on and off, refrigerators humming, traffic passing outside, electronic devices emitting high-frequency whines. Our nervous systems are constantly processing these sounds, even when we're not consciously aware of them. But here, true silence reigns. The cave acts as a natural sound barrier, blocking all external noise. There are no mechanical systems running, no electrical interference, no urban ambient sound. The only audio input is the organic rhythm of the cave itself. This allows your auditory processing centers to rest completely, freeing up neurological resources that are normally dedicated to filtering and interpreting constant noise pollution. Hours pass without your awareness. Time doesn't crawl or fly in the crystal cave. It simply ceases to be relevant. Your body follows its own internal rhythms, cycling through sleep stages based on biological need rather than external time cues. Some guests report sleeping for 12 hours straight, while others wake naturally after 6 hours feeling completely refreshed. The cave seems to give your body exactly what it needs. When you do stir slightly during the night, perhaps during a natural transition between sleep cycles, you're greeted by the gentle glow of your crystal walls. The amethyst formations catch whatever minimal light exists and reflect it softly, creating just enough illumination to reassure you without disrupting your sleep. There's no harsh digital clock display, no LED indicators from electronic devices, no light pollution seeping through windows. Just the gentle, natural luminescence of minerals that have been polished by underground water for countless years. Your body feels different as the night progresses. The negative ions in the air, combined with the absence of electromagnetic interference from electronic devices, allow your cellular processes to function more efficiently. Inflammation decreases. Stress hormones metabolize more quickly. Your immune system operates without the constant low-level activation that characterizes modern urban living. The mineral content in the air you're breathing also affects your physiology. Trace amounts of beneficial minerals are absorbed through your respiratory system, providing micronutrients that support cellular repair and regeneration. It's like sleeping in a natural spa treatment, where the therapeutic environment works on your body throughout the night. As dawn approaches somewhere above ground, the cave remains in its eternal twilight. There are no windows to let in gradually increasing daylight, no birds singing outside to signal the start of a new day. Your wake-up time is determined entirely by your body's internal clock, allowed to run its natural course without external interference. The transition back to consciousness is as gentle as your descent into sleep was. You don't jolt awake to an alarm or gradually become aware of morning sunlight. Instead, you simply become present again, naturally and peacefully. Your eyes open to the same soft crystal glow that accompanied your dreams all night. The same gentle water sounds continue their timeless rhythm. The same perfect temperature cradles your body. But something has changed during your night in the crystal cave. You feel different. Not just rested, though you are profoundly rested. Not just peaceful, though peace permeates every cell of your body. You feel connected to something larger and more enduring than your individual existence. You've spent the night held within the Earth's own architecture, and that experience has left its mark on your nervous system, your perspective, your sense of your place in the vast story of planetary existence. Many guests describe this feeling as being reset or recalibrated. The constant background stress that most of us carry without realizing it has been dissolved by hours of exposure to the cave's natural therapeutic environment. Your baseline state of being has shifted toward calm, clarity, and connection. The problems that seemed overwhelming yesterday haven't disappeared, but they've been placed in a broader context that makes them feel more manageable. You stretch in your crystal chamber, feeling your muscles and joints respond with unusual flexibility and comfort. The night's rest has allowed your body to complete repair processes that are often interrupted by stress, noise, and environmental toxins. Every system feels optimized, running smoothly and efficiently. This is what sleep was meant to be before we surrounded ourselves with the electromagnetic chaos of modern technology. The crystal formations around you seem to pulse gently with the morning energy, though morning and evening have no meaning here. They respond to your returning consciousness, just as they responded to your descent into sleep. The entire chamber feels alive, aware, participating in your human experience while maintaining its own ancient geological perspective. The first full breath you take upon waking feels different than any morning breath you've experienced. The air isn't stale or recycled like it would be in a sealed hotel room. Instead, it carries the pure essence of minerals that have been slowly releasing their beneficial properties into the atmosphere all night long. Your lungs expand fully, effortlessly, as if they're remembering how breathing was supposed to feel before we started inhaling urban pollution and processed air. You sit up slowly, not because you're groggy or disoriented, but because you want to savor this moment of transition. The crystal walls around you seem to welcome your return to consciousness with their gentle, persistent glow. Each formation catches what little light exists and multiplies it, creating layers of illumination that shift been polished by time and water into and dance as your perspective changes. It's like WW, perfect reflective beauty. Your body feels aching up inside a living jewelry box, where every surface has remarkably different. That usual morning stiffness that comes from sleeping in the same position too long is completely absent. Instead, your muscles feel loose and responsive, as if you've spent the night receiving the world's gentlest massage. The stone platform beneath your mattress has continued its thermal regulation throughout the night, keeping your body temperature perfectly balanced and preventing the muscle tension that often accompanies sleep. The silence that surrounded your dreams continues into your waking moments, but now you notice it differently. It's not the absence of sound so much as the presence of perfect acoustic space. When you shift position, the rustle of sheets creates a brief echo that travels through unseen chambers before returning as a whisper. When you take a deeper breath, the sound seems to resonate with the cave's own respiratory system, creating harmony between your biological rhythms and the Earth's geological processes. You become aware that your internal clock has reset itself completely. Without any external time markers, your body has followed its own natural schedule, sleeping exactly as long as needed for optimal restoration. There's no grogginess, no desire to hit a snooze button, no gradual struggle toward alertness. You're simply awake, present, and more refreshed than you've felt in months or perhaps years. The temperature in your crystal chamber has remained perfectly constant throughout the night. But now you notice subtle variations that correspond to your body's changing needs. As you become more active, the air circulation increases slightly, not from any mechanical system, but from the natural convection currents that the cave creates in response to thermal changes. It's as if the environment is reading your biological signals and adjusting accordingly. Your skin feels different too. The mineral-rich air has worked like a natural humidifier throughout the night, leaving your complexion hydrated and smooth. There's a subtle glow that has nothing to do with the crystal reflections around you. Instead, it comes from cellular processes that have been allowed to function optimally without the interference of environmental toxins or stress hormones. You look better than you did yesterday, not from any cosmetic treatment, but from genuine restoration at the molecular level. The water sounds that accompanied your sleep continue their gentle percussion, but now you hear them with greater clarity and appreciation. Each drop represents a journey that began perhaps hundreds of miles away, traveling through layers of rock and mineral deposits, gathering beneficial properties along the way, before finally completing its path in the hidden chambers surrounding your room. You're witnessing the completion of cycles that began long before you were born and will continue long after your visit ends. You stretch your arms above your head, and the movement feels fluid and unrestricted. The negative ions that you've been breathing all night have reduced inflammation throughout your body, allowing joints to move with surprising freedom. Your spine feels aligned in ways that expensive ergonomic mattresses have never achieved. The cave's natural support system has worked with your body's own structural needs, providing exactly the right amount of firmness and yielding in precisely the right places. Standing up from the bed, you notice how the cave floor feels beneath your feet. The stone is smooth, but not slippery, worn by centuries of water, flow into perfect walking surfaces. The temperature is pleasantly cool without being cold, providing gentle stimulation to your nervous system that helps complete the transition from sleep to wakefulness. Each step creates a soft sound that echoes briefly through hidden passages, reminding you that this room is part of a much larger underground network. The bathroom alcove beckons with the promise of that mineral-rich spring water you experienced yesterday. As you approach, you notice that the water temperature has remained constant throughout the night, maintained by the Earth's thermal mass, rather than any mechanical heating system. The first splash on your face feels like liquid silk, carrying trace minerals that your skin absorbs readily. This isn't just washing. It's a continuation of the therapeutic treatment that began the moment you entered the cave. Looking in the mirror, you see the effects of your crystal cave sleep reflected in your face. Your eyes are clearer and brighter, with none of the puffiness or dullness that often accompanies urban sleep. Your complexion has an evenness and vitality that seems to come from within. The stress lines that you've grown accustomed to seeing appear softer, less pronounced. It's as if the night's rest has allowed your cells to repair and regenerate in ways that normal sleep doesn't permit. The shower experience surpasses even your elevated expectations. The water emerges from hidden springs deep within the cave system, naturally heated and enriched with beneficial minerals. As it cascades over your body, you feel tension that you didn't even know existed, melting away from your muscles. The water pressure is gentle but thorough, and the mineral content leaves your skin feeling softer and more supple than any expensive spa treatment has ever achieved. Steam rises around you, but it's not the harsh chlorinated vapor of municipal water systems. This steam carries the essence of underground springs, loaded with negative ions and trace minerals that you absorb through your respiratory system and skin. Breathing in this natural mist feels like inhaling pure wellness, each breath delivering therapeutic benefits that accumulate throughout your body. As you dry off with towels that feel impossibly soft and absorbent, you realize that every aspect of this experience has been designed by geological processes rather than human engineering. The cave's natural humidity levels prevent that sticky feeling that often accompanies showers in sealed environments. Instead, your skin feels perfectly moisturized without being damp, as if the cave itself is regulating moisture balance with sophisticated precision. Returning to your crystal chamber, you notice details that escaped your attention during yesterday's arrival. The way certain crystal formations are positioned to catch and reflect light from specific angles, creating natural spotlights that illuminate different areas throughout the day and night cycles. The subtle color variations in the stone walls, where different mineral deposits have created natural artwork more beautiful than any human painting. You sit on the edge of your bed and take inventory of how you feel. Every system in your body seems to be functioning at an elevated level. Your breathing is deeper and more efficient. Your circulation feels improved, with a gentle warmth flowing to your extremities. Your digestion, often problematic in unfamiliar environments, feels perfectly balanced. Most remarkably, your mental state is one of calm alertness, free from the anxiety or mental fog that often characterizes mornings in the outside world. The journal left by previous guests calls to you from the stone reading chair. Opening it to a blank page, you find yourself wanting to record this experience, not just for others who might read it later, but for your future self who might need reminding that this level of restoration and peace is possible. The pen moves smoothly across the paper as you write about the profound sense of connection you felt, the physical restoration, the mental clarity, and the spiritual grounding that has emerged from sleeping within the Earth's own architecture. Other entries in the journal describe similar experiences, but each person's account is unique. Some focus on the physical healing they have experienced, with chronic pain conditions improving after just one night in the crystal cave. Others write about creative breakthroughs and problem-solving insights that emerge during their deep sleep. Many describe a sense of perspective shift, where daily concerns that seemed overwhelming before their cave sleep now feel manageable and temporary. A few entries mention prophetic or particularly meaningful dreams that occurred during their stay. The crystal formations seem to have a unique effect on dream content, possibly due to their electromagnetic properties interacting with the brain's electrical activity during REM sleep. Dreams in the crystal cave tend to be more coherent, more memorable, and often provide insights or creative solutions that visitors carry with them long after their stay ends. You close the journal and notice that you're not experiencing any of the usual morning urgency that characterizes your normal routine. There's no rushing feeling, no sense that you need to immediately check messages or start planning your day. Instead, you feel perfectly present in this moment, content to exist within the cave's timeless environment for as long as you're allowed. The reading area invites you to spend more time in contemplation. The stone chairs, cushioned with naturally dyed fabrics, position you perfectly to observe the interplay of light and crystal throughout your chamber. Books left by other guests offer topics that seem particularly relevant to the cave experience: geology, meditation practices, stories of underground exploration, and philosophical works about humanity's relationship with the natural world. But reading feels almost unnecessary when the cave itself provides such rich sensory input. Every few minutes, you notice new details in the crystal formations. The way light travels through translucent sections of quartz, creating internal landscapes of shadow and illumination. The perfect geometric patterns that some crystals have formed over millennia, following mathematical principles that scientists are still trying to fully understand. The air circulation system continues to fascinate you with its organic intelligence. As the temperature outside the cave changes throughout the day, the internal air currents adjust accordingly, maintaining perfect comfort without any mechanical intervention. It's a masterclass in natural climate control, engineered by geological processes rather than human technology. Your breakfast, when it arrives, feels like another extension of the cave's therapeutic properties. The food has been prepared using the same mineral-rich spring water that flows through the cave system. Even simple items like bread and fruit taste more vibrant and nourishing than their surface world counterparts. The water you drink with your meal carries the same beneficial mineral content that you've been breathing and bathing in, continuing the internal restoration process that began when you first entered the cave. The staff member who delivers your breakfast moves with the same quiet reverence that characterizes everyone who works in this environment. They understand that the Crystal Cave isn't just a novelty accommodation, but a transformative environment that deserves respect and gentle handling. Their presence is minimal and unobtrusive, allowing you to maintain the sense of connection with the natural environment that has been building throughout your stay. As you eat, you become aware of how different your relationship with food feels in this setting. Without the usual distractions of electronic devices or urban noise, you can focus completely on the sensory experience of eating. Flavors seem more complex and satisfying. Your body's hunger and satiation signals are clearer and more reliable. Even the act of chewing feels more intentional and meditative. The time has come to consider your eventual departure from this underground sanctuary, but the prospect doesn't fill you with the usual travel anxiety or regret. Instead, you feel grateful for the experience and confident that its effects will continue long after you return to the surface world. The cellular repair that occurred during your sleep, the nervous system reset, the spiritual grounding, these benefits won't disappear the moment you step outside. Your packed belongings seem less important than they did when you arrived. The clothes, electronics, and personal items that usually feel essential now appear as temporary conveniences rather than necessities. Your night in the Crystal Cave has provided perspective on what truly matters for well-being: clean air, pure water, natural light, restful sleep, and connection to the Earth's own rhythms. The stone keycard that granted you access to this transformative experience feels heavier in your hand as you prepare to leave. It represents more than just a hotel room key. It's a token of entry into an ancient world that exists parallel to our modern surface reality, a reminder that profound healing and restoration are still available to those who know where to look for them. As you make your final preparations to depart, you realize that checking out of a Crystal Cave hotel isn't like leaving any other accommodation. You're not just ending a stay, you're completing a journey that has taken you deep into the Earth's own healing chambers and allowed you to experience restoration at levels that most people never access. The memory of sleeping iron growth will stay with you, surrounded by millions of years of crystal, but more importantly, the physical and spiritual benefits will continue to unfold in your daily life long after you've returned to the surface world. 2. The checkout process itself feels ceremonial rather than transactional. Instead of the usual hurried gathering of belongings and anxious departure times, the Crystal Cave Hotel operates on what they call Earth time. There's no rigid schedule, no aggressive housekeeping knocking at your door. When you're ready to leave, you simply are. Your body knows. Your spirit knows. The cave itself seems to sense when your restoration is complete. You gather your things slowly, methodically, but with none of the usual travel stress. Each item you pack feels lighter somehow, as if the cave's energy has reduced not just your physical tension, but also the psychological weight of material possessions. The clothes you wore yesterday when you arrived seem less important now. The phone that usually demands constant attention sits quietly in your bag, and for the first time in years, you don't feel compelled to check it immediately upon waking. Walking through your crystal chamber one final time, you notice how the formations seem to pulse gently in farewell. The amethyst walls catch the ambient light and throw back deeper purples. Your stay now reflects an image of someone art's deposits that served as natural mirrors throughout who looks fundamentally different from the person who checked that you understand their true age and the incredible patience in yesterday. Not just rested, but renew as if intensifying their color in response to your departure. The queue to the lobby feels different during your departure walk. The stalactites overhead seem more majestic now required for their formation. Each drop of mineral at a cellular level. The corridor leading back rich water that created these formations represents a moment in geological time, and you've been privileged in yourself. There's an UN of such moments. Other guests pass you in the hallway, some arriving with the same mixture of excitement and uncertainty. Spoken understanding among Crystal Cave guests. Same serene expression, you now recognize a shared recognition that you've all participated postures. The clearer eyes, the deeper breathing to sleep within the culmination of millions in something profound and transformative. No, you felt yesterday. Others departing with their healing chambers. The lobby carved from living words are needed. The experience speaks for itself in the relax rock, with those reception desks that look sculpted by ancient water, now feels like a bridge patterns of everyone who's spent time in these underground between two worlds. Behind you lies the timeless realm of geological processes and natural healing. Ahead waits the surface world, with its electromagnetic chaos, artificial lighting, and constant noise pollution. But you're no longer the same person who descended into these caves. You've been recalibrated, reset, restored to a baseline of well-being that you didn't even know was possible. The staff at checkout move with the same quiet reverence you've noticed throughout your stay. They don't ask about your experience in the pushy way that typical hotel employees might. Instead, they simply observe your transformed state and nod with knowing smiles. They've seen this countless times before. They understand that words are inadequate to capture what happens during a night in the crystal caves. Your final paperwork is processed on tablets made from polished stone, continuing the theme of natural materials integrated with modern technology. Even this administrative task feels different when conducted in an environment that honors geological time and natural processes. There's no rush, no pressure, no sense that efficiency should take precedence over mindfulness. As you prepare to ascend back to surface level, the elevator itself becomes part of the transition experience. It rises slowly, allowing your body and nervous system to adjust gradually to the changing environment. Through small windows carved into the elevator shaft, you can observe the layers of rock and mineral deposits that tell the story of this region's geological history. Limestone laid down in ancient seas, sandstone formed from prehistoric deserts, igneous intrusions that cooled slowly deep underground before being revealed by erosion and human excavation. The first hint of surface air carries different information than the purified atmosphere you've been breathing below. There are exhaust fumes, pollen, the electromagnetic signatures of cell towers and wireless networks. Your newly sensitized nervous system notices these changes immediately, but instead of feeling overwhelmed, you feel grateful for the contrast. You now have a reference point for what truly clean air feels like, what genuine silence sounds like, what natural healing environments can accomplish. Stepping outside into natural sunlight after your underground retreat creates an interesting sensory experience. The UV radiation that would normally feel harsh and demanding now seems gentle and welcoming. Your skin, which has been mineralized and moisturized by the cave's natural humidity, responds to sunlight with a healthy glow rather than the usual defensive reaction. Your eyes, which have been resting in the soft, consistent illumination of crystal formations, now appreciate the full spectrum of solar energy without strain or discomfort. The sounds of the surface world gradually reassert themselves as you move away from the cave entrance. Traffic, construction, human voices, electronic devices, all the acoustic pollution that most people have learned to tune out. But your auditory system, which has been reset by hours of true silence and natural cave acoustics, now processes these sounds differently. Instead of being overwhelmed or stressed by noise pollution, you find yourself able to selectively filter and focus, maintaining the inner quiet you discovered underground, even while navigating the chaos above. Your car, when you reach it, feels like a foreign environment. The artificial materials, the electromagnetic fields from the electronic systems, the recycled air conditioning, all contrast sharply with the natural perfection you've just experienced. But this contrast isn't unpleasant. Instead, it serves as a reminder of what you've learned about your body's capacity for restoration when placed in optimal environments. Driving away from the Crystal Cave Hotel, you notice that your relationship with time has fundamentally shifted. Traffic delays that would normally trigger stress responses now feel like opportunities for continued meditation and reflection. Red lights become chances to breathe deeply and maintain the connection to Earth's rhythms that you established during your underground stay. The urgency that usually characterizes travel and daily scheduling has been replaced by a deeper trust in natural timing and organic unfolding. The landscape outside your car windows appears more vivid and alive than before. Colors seem more saturated, not because your vision has improved, but because your nervous system is no longer filtering sensory input through layers of stress and tension. The trees, rocks, and natural features you pass carry new meaning now that you've experienced direct connection with geological processes. You understand in a visceral way that these surface features are connected to the same underground systems that provided your healing sanctuary. Your phone, when you finally check it, contains the same messages and notifications that would normally demand immediate attention. But your response to this digital information has changed. The urgency feels artificial and manufactured rather than genuinely important. Problems that seemed critical before your cave experience now appear manageable and temporary. Your perspective has been expanded to include geological timescales, making human dramas feel smaller and more workable. The drive home becomes a meditation on integration. How do you maintain the benefits you've received from your crystal cave sleep while navigating a world designed around artificial lighting, processed air, and constant electronic stimulation? The answer seems to lie not in trying to recreate the exact conditions of the cave, but in remembering the natural baseline of health and peace that the cave revealed. You now know what optimal feels like, and that knowledge will guide your choices going forward. Arriving back at your regular residence, you immediately notice details that escaped your attention before. The quality of air inside your home, the electromagnetic fields generated by appliances and devices, the acoustic environment created by heating systems and electronic equipment. None of this feels overwhelming, because you now have tools for maintaining your inner equilibrium regardless of external conditions. Your regular bed, while comfortable, lacks the therapeutic properties of the crystal cave's natural architecture. But sleep that night still feels deeper and more restorative than your pre-cave baseline. The cellular repairs initiated during your underground stay continue working. The nervous system reset persists. The spiritual grounding you experienced remains accessible through breath and meditation practices that now feel more natural and effective. Friends and family notice the change in you immediately, though they might not be able to articulate exactly what's different. There's a quality of presence and peace that wasn't there before, a depth of calm that seems unshakable even in stressful situations. Some ask if you've started a new wellness practice or made significant lifestyle changes. The truth is simpler and more profound. You've remembered what your natural state of being actually feels like when freed from the accumulated stress and toxicity of modern living. Work colleagues comment on your improved focus and creative problem-solving abilities. The mental clarity that emerged during your crystal cave sleep translates into better decision-making and more innovative thinking in professional settings. Challenges that would have previously triggered anxiety now feel like interesting puzzles to solve. The expanded perspective gained from sleeping within geological time makes workplace dramas feel temporary and manageable. Your relationship with technology begins to evolve in subtle but significant ways. While you don't abandon electronic devices entirely, you find yourself using them more consciously and selectively. The constant connectivity that once felt necessary now seems optional. You create spaces in your daily routine for silence and stillness, honoring the natural rhythms you reconnected with underground. Sleep becomes a different experience altogether. While you may not have crystal formations surrounding your bed, you now understand how to create conditions that support truly restorative rest. You pay attention to electromagnetic fields, air quality, and acoustic environments in ways that would have seemed obsessive before, but now feel like basic self-care. The memory of perfect sleep in the crystal cave serves as a template for optimizing your nightly recovery. Months later, the benefits of your crystal cave experience continue to unfold and deepen. The initial physical restoration has evolved into lasting improvements in energy levels, immune function, and overall vitality. The mental clarity has become a stable foundation for clearer thinking and better decision-making. The spiritual grounding provides resilience during difficult periods and enhanced appreciation during joyful moments. You find yourself recommending the Crystal Cave Hotel experience to others, but carefully and selectively. This isn't the kind of travel that appeals to everyone. It requires a willingness to disconnect from familiar comforts and trust in natural healing processes that can't be quantified or guaranteed. Some people need the contrast of experiencing artificial environments before they can appreciate what the Earth's own architecture offers. The memory of that night continues to serve as a touchstone, a reminder of what's possible when human beings align themselves with natural systems rather than fighting against them. In a world increasingly dominated by artificial intelligence and virtual experiences, the Crystal Cave represents something irreplaceably real and grounding. It offers healing that can't be digitized, wisdom that can't be downloaded, and restoration that can only be experienced through direct contact with the planet's own therapeutic chambers. Your relationship with the Earth itself has fundamentally changed. What once seemed like inert matter, rocks and minerals beneath your feet, now reveals itself as a living system capable of profound healing and support. The crystals that surrounded your sleep weren't just pretty decorations, but active participants in your restoration, growing and changing according to processes that connect your brief human existence to the vast story of planetary evolution. The Crystal Cave Hotel experience has become more than just a unique travel memory. It's an initiation into a different way of being human, one that remembers our deep connection to the Earth's own rhythms and healing capacities. In sleeping within those crystal chambers, you didn't just rest your body. You remembered your place in the larger story of life on this planet, and that remembering continues to inform every aspect of your daily existence. As time passes and the immediate sensory memories of the crystal cave begin to fade, the deeper transformations remain. The nervous system reset persists, the cellular repairs continue, the expanded perspective endures. You carry within you now the knowledge that profound healing is always available, when we know how to align ourselves with the natural systems that created and sustain us. The Crystal Cave Hotel wasn't just a place you visited. It was a teacher that showed you possibilities for human well-being that most people never discover. In learning to sleep within the Earth's own architecture, you've gained access to restoration resources that will serve you for the rest of your life. The crystals may no longer surround your bed, but their lessons about patience, growth, and the slow accumulation of beauty continue to guide your daily choices and long-term aspirations. And sometimes, usually in the quiet moments before sleep or during early morning meditation, you can still feel the gentle pulse of those amethyst walls, still hear the distant music of underground water, still breathe air that carries the essence of minerals formed over geological time. The crystal cave lives within you now, a portable sanctuary that you can access whenever you need, reminding of what peace actually feels like and what healing is truly possible when we trust in the Earth's ancient wisdom. The transformation doesn't end when you return home. It deepens, evolves, becomes woven into the fabric of your daily existence in ways that surprise you months later. You discover that your crystal cave experience has created what sleep researchers might call a new baseline, a recalibrated understanding of what restoration actually means. Your morning routine changes without conscious effort. Where you once reached immediately for your phone upon waking, you now find yourself taking 3 deep breaths first, automatically checking in with your body's internal state. It's as if the cave taught you to listen inward before engaging outward, to honor the transition from sleep to consciousness, rather than jolting yourself into electronic stimulation. The quality of your attention has shifted in remarkable ways. Tasks that previously required significant mental effort now feel more effortless and flowing. You notice details in conversations that you used to miss, not because you're trying harder to pay attention, but because the mental static that once interfered with clear perception has been substantially reduced. It's like having a cleaner radio signal, picking up subtleties and nuances that were always there, but previously masked by interference. Your relationship with stress undergoes a fundamental recalibration. Situations that would have triggered immediate anxiety responses now create what you can only describe as interested curiosity. Traffic jams become opportunities to practice the breathing patterns you naturally adopted during your cave sleep. Difficult conversations at work feel less like threats and more like puzzles worth solving. The cave seems to have reset your nervous system's default setting, from defensive vigilance to calm alertness. Food tastes different, not dramatically, but consistently. Flavors seem more distinct and satisfying. Your body's hunger and fullness signals operate with greater precision, as if the mineral-rich environment recalibrated your internal chemistry in ways that continue to influence metabolism and digestion. You find yourself naturally gravitating toward foods that feel nourishing rather than just convenient, without any conscious dietary changes or restrictions. The electromagnetic sensitivity you developed during your cave stay initially felt like a burden. Fluorescent lights seemed harsher, electronic devices more intrusive, wireless signals more noticeable. But over time, this sensitivity transforms into a valuable navigation tool. You instinctively choose restaurant seating away from Wi-Fi routers, sleep with your phone in airplane mode without thinking about it, and create small sanctuaries in your living space that honor the natural rhythms you reconnected with underground. Dreams continue to carry the cave's influence long after your return. They're more coherent, more memorable, often providing creative solutions to problems you're working through in waking life. The boundary between sleeping and waking wisdom feels more permeable, as if the crystal formations somehow taught your subconscious mind new ways of processing and integrating information. You start keeping a dream journal, not out of spiritual curiosity, but because the insights are genuinely useful for navigating daily challenges. Your perception of time undergoes a subtle but persistent shift. Deadlines still exist, schedules still matter, but the underlying anxiety about temporal pressure dissolves into a deeper trust in natural timing. Projects unfold more organically. Conversations develop at their own pace rather than being rushed toward predetermined outcomes. You arrive places exactly when you need to, often without conscious planning, as if your internal clock has synchronized with rhythms larger than social expectations. The cave's influence on your social relationships proves particularly fascinating. You find yourself drawn to people who share a similar quality of presence and groundedness, while relationships based primarily on shared anxiety or complaint begin to feel less compelling. It's not that you become antisocial, but rather that your baseline for meaningful connection has been elevated. Superficial interactions feel less satisfying, while deeper conversations flow more easily. Physical exercise takes on new dimensions of pleasure and effectiveness. Your body seems to remember the perfect alignment it experienced while sleeping on the cave's natural architecture. Yoga poses that were previously challenging now feel accessible and stable. Walking becomes a form of meditation as your feet automatically seek the most balanced contact with whatever surface you're traversing. The cave taught you what optimal posture feels like from the inside out. Your immune system operates with noticeably improved efficiency. Colds that would previously knock you out for days now pass quickly with minimal symptoms. Seasonal allergies that plagued you for years seem to have simply disappeared. Your body's inflammatory responses have been recalibrated to more appropriate levels, no longer overreacting to minor irritants while maintaining strong defenses against genuine threats. The environmental awareness that began in the crystal cave continues expanding in your daily life. You notice air quality changes that others miss, can sense when indoor spaces have poor ventilation, and instinctively seek out natural materials and lighting whenever possible. This isn't environmental activism driven by guilt or should, but rather a natural gravitational pull toward conditions that support your well-being. Sleep architecture itself has been permanently upgraded. Even in your regular bedroom, you cycle through sleep stages more efficiently and wake up feeling more restored. The cave seems to have taught your nervous system how to achieve deeper levels of rest without requiring the perfect conditions that surrounded you underground. It's as if you've learned to access healing sleep states that were previously unavailable. Your creative faculties operate with enhanced fluency and originality. Ideas flow more freely during brainstorming sessions. Artistic projects develop with less struggle and more organic unfolding. Problem-solving approaches emerge from intuitive understanding rather than forced analysis. The cave's timeless environment seems to have connected you to creative resources that operate outside normal temporal constraints. Temperature regulation throughout your body has improved dramatically. You're comfortable in a wider range of environmental conditions, less reactive to heat and cold extremes. Your circulation flows more evenly, bringing warmth to extremities that were previously always cold and cooling systems that work efficiently without creating uncomfortable temperature swings. The psychological benefits continue deepening months after your cave experience. Anxiety, while not completely eliminated, now feels more like useful information rather than overwhelming emotion. Depression, if it visits, passes through more quickly without establishing the persistent patterns that once characterized difficult periods. Your baseline mood has shifted toward contentment and curiosity, making both challenges and pleasures more workable. Decision-making processes have been streamlined and clarified. Instead of endless mental loops analyzing pros and cons, choices often emerge from a deeper knowing that feels both rational and intuitive. You trust your initial assessments more readily while remaining open to new information. The cave's ancient wisdom seems to have taught you the difference between helpful deliberation and paralyzing overthinking. Your relationship with money and material possessions undergoes subtle but significant changes. The acquisitive drive that once felt urgent now seems optional. You purchase what genuinely serves your well-being while feeling less compelled by advertising or social pressure. The cave's demonstration of how little is actually required for profound satisfaction has recalibrated your understanding of abundance and security. Seasonal changes affect you differently now. Winter feels less oppressive, summer less overwhelming. Your body seems to flow more harmoniously with natural light cycles and temperature variations. The cave's constant environment taught you how to maintain internal stability while allowing appropriate responses to external changes. Communication skills improve in unexpected ways. You listen more completely, speak more precisely, and navigate conflicts with greater skill and less emotional reactivity. The cave's perfect acoustics seem to have taught you how to hear not just words, but the intentions and needs beneath them. Conversations become more satisfying for everyone involved. Your capacity for solitude expands dramatically. Time alone no longer feels like something to endure or fill with distractions, but rather like valuable space for processing, creating, and simply being. The cave's silence taught you the difference between loneliness and solitude, between boredom and productive emptiness. Physical coordination and balance operate at higher levels of precision and grace. You move through space with greater awareness and efficiency. Dance, sports, and even simple activities like cooking involve your whole body in more integrated ways. The cave's perfect ergonomic support seems to have retrained your neuromuscular system toward optimal function. The benefits compound over time rather than diminishing. Each month brings new discoveries about capacities that the cave awakened. Your baseline for health, creativity, and peace continues slowly but steadily improving. It's as if the crystal formations planted seeds that continue growing long after you've left their immediate influence. Friends and family begin asking what you've been doing differently, noticing changes they can't quite identify but find compelling. Some request recommendations for similar experiences, while others simply enjoy being around your increased presence and calm. You become a walking advertisement for the possibility of profound restoration, though you rarely need to actively promote the cave experience. The memory of sleeping surrounded by millions of years of crystal growth provides perspective during difficult periods. Problems that feel overwhelming in the moment can be contextualized within geological time, making them feel temporary and workable rather than permanent and catastrophic. The cave's patience becomes your patience. Your nervous system has learned to distinguish between genuine threats requiring immediate response and artificial urgencies created by modern life's accelerated pace. You respond appropriately to real emergencies while remaining unperturbed by manufactured crises. This discrimination feels effortless rather than practiced, as if the cave restored your natural threat assessment capabilities. Recovery from illness, injury, or emotional trauma happens more quickly and completely. Your body's healing systems operate with greater efficiency and intelligence. Setbacks that might have previously required weeks or months to resolve now clear in days. The cave's demonstration of how powerful natural healing can be seems to have upgraded your own regenerative capacities. The quality of your presence during important life events deepens significantly. You're more fully available during celebrations, more genuinely supportive during others' difficulties, and more capable of savoring meaningful moments without the mental distraction that once characterized your participation in life. The cave taught you how to inhabit your experiences completely. Your intuitive faculties operate with increased reliability and precision. Gut feelings about people, situations, and decisions prove accurate more consistently. You learn to trust these subtle information streams while maintaining appropriate rational analysis. The cave's ancient knowing seems to have awakened similar capacities within your own consciousness. Years later, the crystal cave experience continues revealing new layers of influence and benefit. What began as a unique travel adventure has become a cornerstone of your approach to living, a reference point for what's possible when human beings align themselves with the Earth's own healing wisdom. The crystals may no longer surround your sleep, but their lessons about patience, growth, and the accumulation of beauty through time continue guiding every aspect of your existence. The cave taught you that profound transformation doesn't require dramatic external changes or expensive interventions. Sometimes, the most powerful healing happens when we simply allow ourselves to be held by forces larger and older and wiser than our individual understanding. In learning to sleep within the Earth's embrace, you discovered resources for restoration that will serve you throughout whatever remains of your time on this planet. And in quiet moments, when the world feels particularly chaotic or challenging, you can still access the cave's perfect silence, still feel the gentle pulse of crystalline growth, still breathe air purified by passage through geological time. The experience lives within you now, a portable sanctuary that reminds you always of what peace feels like and what healing is truly possible when we remember our connection to the living systems that created and continue to sustain us. The Crystal Cave Hotel was never just a place you visited. It was a teacher that showed you who you really are when freed from the accumulated interference of modern living. In sleeping within those ancient chambers, you didn't just rest your body. You remembered your birthright as a creature of this earth, deserving of the restoration and beauty that the planet offers to those wise enough to accept its gifts. Now, as you settle deeper into reflection on how profoundly this experience has changed you, you begin to understand that the Crystal Cave didn't just provide one night of extraordinary sleep. It revealed something about the very nature of human potential that most people never discover. The cave served as a kind of reset button, not just for your nervous system, but for your entire understanding of what baseline wellness actually means. You realized that what you experienced wasn't supernatural or mystical, despite how transformative it felt. Instead, it was purely natural. The cave simply provided optimal conditions for your body's own healing systems to function as they were designed to operate. Without electromagnetic interference, without processed air, without synthetic materials and artificial lighting, your cellular repair mechanisms could work unimpeded for the first time in years, perhaps decades. This understanding brings a profound shift in how you approach health and wellness going forward. Instead of seeking external interventions to fix problems, you begin focusing on removing obstacles to your body's natural healing capacity. The cave taught you that sometimes the most powerful medicine is simply creating space for your own systems to work properly. Your relationship with nature itself has been fundamentally rewired. What once seemed like pleasant scenery now reveals itself as a network of healing resources. You find yourself drawn to natural springs, seeking out caves and underground spaces, spending more time with your bare feet on actual earth rather than sealed inside artificial environments. The cave awakened something primal in your cellular memory, a recognition of where you truly belong in the planetary ecosystem. The social implications of your transformation continue rippling outward in unexpected ways. You become a kind of unconscious teacher, not through preaching about your cave experience, but simply by embodying the peace and groundedness you discovered there. People notice something different about your presence and naturally gravitate toward conversations that go deeper than surface-level small talk. Your work performance transforms in subtle but significant ways. Projects that previously felt overwhelming now seem manageable because your perspective has expanded to include geological timescales. Deadlines still matter, but the underlying anxiety about temporal pressure has dissolved into a deeper trust in organic timing. You find yourself accomplishing more with less effort, not through increased productivity techniques, but through improved clarity about what actually matters. The cave's influence on your creative capacities proves particularly remarkable. Ideas flow more freely during brainstorming sessions, artistic projects develop with less struggle, and solutions to complex problems often emerge from intuitive understanding rather than forced analysis. It's as if the timeless environment recalibrated your access to creative resources that operate outside normal temporal constraints. Sleep architecture throughout your life has been permanently upgraded. Even years later, you cycle through sleep stages more efficiently and wake feeling more restored than before your cave experience. Your bedroom may lack crystal formations, but you've learned to create conditions that honor the natural rhythms you reconnected with underground. This isn't about expensive sleep technology or complicated routines, but rather about understanding what your nervous system actually needs for deep restoration. Your immune system continues operating with enhanced intelligence and efficiency. Seasonal illnesses that once knocked you out for weeks now pass quickly with minimal symptoms. Your body's inflammatory responses remain calibrated at appropriate levels, no longer overreacting to minor irritants while maintaining strong defenses against genuine threats. The cave seems to have taught your cellular systems how to distinguish between helpful and harmful stimuli. Physical coordination and balance operate at levels you never achieved before your underground retreat. Movement feels more integrated and effortless, whether you're practicing yoga, dancing, or simply walking through your daily environment. The cave's perfect ergonomic support appears to have retrained your neuromuscular system toward optimal function, creating improvements that compound over time rather than fading. Your capacity for presence during important life moments has deepened dramatically. You're more fully available during celebrations, more genuinely supportive during others' difficulties, and more capable of savoring meaningful experiences without the mental distraction that once characterized your participation in life. The cave taught you how to inhabit your experiences completely rather than observing them from a distance. The electromagnetic sensitivity you initially developed transforms from burden into valuable navigation tool. You instinctively choose environments that support your well-being, sleep with electronic devices in airplane mode without thinking about it, and create small sanctuaries in your living spaces that honor natural rhythms. This sensitivity helps you make choices that optimize your energy and focus throughout each day. Decision-making processes have been streamlined through your cave experience. Instead of endless mental loops analyzing possibilities, choices often emerge from deeper knowing that feels both rational and intuitive. You trust initial assessments while remaining open to new information, having learned the difference between helpful deliberation and paralyzing overthinking. Your relationship with material possessions undergoes continuous evolution. The acquisitive drive that once felt urgent now seems optional. You purchase what genuinely serves your well-being while feeling less compelled by advertising or social pressure. The cave's demonstration of how little is actually required for profound satisfaction continues recalibrating your understanding of abundance and security. Communication skills improve in ways that surprise both you and others. You listen more completely, speak more precisely, and navigate conflicts with greater skill and emotional stability. The cave's perfect acoustics seem to have taught you how to hear not just words, but the intentions and needs beneath them, making every conversation more satisfying for everyone involved. Your intuitive faculties operate with increased reliability and precision. Gut feelings about people, situations, and decisions prove accurate more consistently than before your underground experience. You've learned to trust these subtle information streams while maintaining appropriate rational analysis, integrating both logical and intuitive intelligence in your daily choices. The psychological benefits continue deepening with time rather than fading. Anxiety, when it appears, feels more like useful information rather than overwhelming emotion. Depressive periods, if they visit, pass through more quickly without establishing the persistent patterns that once characterized difficult times. Your baseline mood has shifted toward contentment and curiosity. Environmental awareness expands naturally from your cave experience. You notice air quality changes that others miss, sense when indoor spaces have poor ventilation, and gravitate toward natural materials and lighting whenever possible. This isn't environmental activism driven by guilt, but rather natural gravitational pull toward conditions that support optimal functioning. Temperature regulation throughout your body operates with enhanced efficiency. You're comfortable in wider ranges of environmental conditions, less reactive to heat and cold extremes. Your circulation flows more evenly, bringing appropriate warmth to extremities, while cooling systems work efficiently without creating uncomfortable temperature swings. Recovery from illness, injury, or emotional trauma happens more quickly and completely than before your cave sleep. Your body's healing systems operate with greater intelligence and efficiency. Setbacks that might previously have required weeks or months now resolve in days, as if the cave upgraded your regenerative capacities at the cellular level. Seasonal changes affect you with greater harmony rather than resistance. Winter feels less oppressive, summer less overwhelming. Your body flows more smoothly, with natural light cycles and temperature variations, while maintaining internal stability. The cave's constant environment taught you how to remain centered while appropriately responding to external changes. Your capacity for solitude expands dramatically over time. Periods alone no longer feel like something to endure or fill with distractions, but rather like valuable space for processing, creating, and simply being. The cave's perfect silence taught you the difference between loneliness and productive solitude, between boredom and fertile emptiness. The quality of your attention operates at higher resolution and clarity. Tasks that previously required significant mental effort now feel more effortless and flowing. You notice details in conversations that you used to miss, not through trying harder to pay attention, but because the mental static that once interfered with clear perception has been substantially reduced. Dreams continue carrying the cave's influence years after your return. They remain more coherent and memorable, often providing creative solutions to problems you're working through in waking life. The boundary between sleeping and waking wisdom feels more permeable, as if the crystal formations taught your subconscious new ways of processing and integrating information. Your relationship with time undergoes persistent but subtle transformation. Deadlines exist, schedules matter, but the underlying urgency about temporal pressure dissolves into deeper trust in natural timing. Projects unfold more organically, conversations develop at their own pace, and you arrive places exactly when needed, often without conscious planning. The cave's influence on your social relationships proves consistently positive. You're drawn to people who share similar qualities of presence and groundedness, while relationships based primarily on shared anxiety or complaint feel less compelling. Your baseline for meaningful connection has been elevated without becoming judgmental or exclusive. Physical exercise takes on new dimensions of pleasure and effectiveness. Movement feels more integrated and intelligent, whether you're practicing formal fitness routines or simply navigating daily activities. The cave taught you what optimal alignment feels like from the inside out, creating improvements that continue developing over time. Food continues tasting different years later, not dramatically, but consistently. Flavors seem more distinct and satisfying, while your body's hunger and fullness signals operate with greater precision. You naturally gravitate toward nourishing choices without conscious dietary restrictions, as if the mineral-rich environment recalibrated your internal chemistry permanently. Your nervous system maintains the ability to distinguish between genuine threats, requiring immediate response, and artificial urgencies created by modern life's accelerated pace. You respond appropriately to real emergencies while remaining unperturbed by manufactured crises, a discrimination that feels effortless rather than practiced. The memory of sleeping surrounded by millions of years of crystal growth provides ongoing perspective during challenging periods. Problems that feel overwhelming in the moment can be contextualized within geological time, making them seem temporary and workable rather than permanent and catastrophic. The cave's patience becomes accessible as your own patience. Recovery patterns from your crystal cave experience suggest that the benefits compound over time rather than diminishing. Each year brings new discoveries about capacities that the underground environment awakened. Your baseline for health, creativity, and inner peace continues slowly but steadily improving, as if the crystal formations planted seeds that keep growing. Friends and family continue noticing changes they find compelling but can't quite identify. Some request recommendations for similar experiences, while others simply enjoy being around your increased presence and calm. You become a walking example of what's possible through profound restoration, though you rarely need to actively promote the experience. The transformation extends beyond personal benefits into your understanding of what human beings are actually capable of when placed in optimal environments. The cave revealed that much of what we accept as normal aging, chronic stress, and emotional limitation might actually be responses to suboptimal living conditions rather than inevitable aspects of human existence. This realization carries implications that extend far beyond individual wellness into questions about how society structures living and working environments. If one night in a crystal cave can produce such lasting improvements, what might be possible if we designed our homes, offices, and cities to better support natural human rhythms and healing processes? Your experience becomes a kind of research data point in your own understanding of environmental medicine and the relationship between place and well-being. You begin noticing how different spaces affect your energy, mood, and cognitive function, using your recalibrated sensitivity as a tool for making choices that optimize your daily experience. The cave taught you that healing isn't always about adding interventions or treatments, but sometimes about removing obstacles to your body's natural restoration processes. This understanding influences everything from the products you choose for your home, to the relationships you maintain, to the activities you prioritize in your schedule. Years later, the crystal cave experience continues serving as a reference point for evaluating other wellness approaches and healing modalities. You can distinguish between interventions that support your natural systems and those that work against them, having experienced what optimal support actually feels like at the cellular level. The social ripple effects of your transformation continue expanding in unexpected directions. People notice something different about your presence and naturally share more authentic parts of themselves in conversation with you. You become a catalyst for deeper connections without trying to be, simply by embodying the groundedness you discovered underground. Your work life transforms not through career changes, but through how you approach whatever work you do. Projects develop with less struggle and more organic unfolding. Collaborative relationships improve through your enhanced listening skills and emotional stability. Challenges feel more like interesting puzzles to solve, rather than sources of stress. The cave's lessons about patience and geological time continue informing your approach to personal growth and life goals. Instead of expecting immediate results or dramatic changes, you appreciate slow, steady development that builds over time. This patience paradoxically accelerates your progress in most areas of life. Environmental choices become intuitive rather than effortful. You naturally seek out spaces with good air quality, natural lighting, and minimal electromagnetic interference. These aren't conscious health strategies, but automatic gravitational pulls toward conditions that support your well-being. Preferences that developed from your recalibrated sensitivity. Your relationship with technology evolves toward more conscious and selective use. While you don't abandon electronic devices entirely, you use them as tools rather than allowing them to use you. The constant connectivity that once felt necessary now seems optional, freeing up mental and emotional resources for more meaningful pursuits. Sleep continues being a source of restoration and insight rather than just biological necessity. Even without crystal formations surrounding your bed, you've learned to create conditions that honor the natural rhythms you reconnected with underground. This isn't about expensive equipment or complicated routines, but understanding what your nervous system needs. The cave's influence on your creative faculties proves to be one of the most enduring and valuable aspects of the experience. Ideas flow more freely, artistic projects develop with less resistance, and solutions to complex problems often emerge from intuitive understanding. It's as if the timeless environment opened access to creative resources that operate outside normal constraints. Physical health improvements continue accumulating over time rather than plateauing. Your immune system operates more intelligently, inflammatory responses remain appropriately calibrated, and recovery from illness happens more quickly and completely. The cave seems to have upgraded your body's healing systems at the fundamental level. Your capacity for joy and appreciation expands continuously from the cave experience. Simple pleasures feel more satisfying. Beautiful moments penetrate more deeply, and even difficult experiences carry lessons that feel valuable rather than just painful. The cave's demonstration of natural perfection recalibrated your ability to recognize beauty and meaning. The integration of your crystal cave experience into daily life happens gradually and organically, rather than through forced lifestyle changes. Benefits emerge naturally from your transformed baseline, rather than requiring constant maintenance or artificial support. This suggests that the cave provided healing at very deep levels that continue influencing your well-being automatically. Communication with others takes on qualities of greater depth and authenticity. You listen more completely, speak more precisely, and navigate conflicts with enhanced skill and emotional stability. The cave's perfect acoustics seem to have taught you how to hear not just words, but the needs and intentions beneath them. Your relationship with money and material possessions continues evolving toward greater simplicity and satisfaction. The acquisitive drive that once felt urgent becomes optional, while appreciation for what you already have deepens significantly. The cave's demonstration of how little is required for profound well-being continues informing your choices. Decision-making processes remain streamlined and clarified years after your underground experience. Choices emerge more often from deeper knowing that integrates both rational analysis and intuitive wisdom. You trust initial assessments while remaining open to new information, having learned to distinguish between helpful deliberation and paralyzing overthinking. The psychological benefits prove to be among the most stable and enduring aspects of your transformation. Baseline mood remains elevated toward contentment and curiosity. Anxiety feels more like useful information rather than overwhelming emotion. Depressive periods pass more quickly without establishing persistent patterns. Your nervous system continues operating with enhanced discrimination between genuine threats and artificial urgencies. You respond appropriately to real emergencies while remaining calm during manufactured crises. This improved threat assessment feels natural rather than practiced, suggesting deep recalibration of fundamental survival mechanisms. Temperature regulation, circulation, and other autonomous functions continue operating with greater efficiency and intelligence. You're comfortable in wider ranges of environmental conditions while maintaining internal stability. The cave's constant optimal environment seems to have taught your body's regulatory systems new levels of precision. Seasonal changes feel more harmonious and less disruptive to your well-being. Instead of fighting against natural cycles, you flow with them while maintaining inner equilibrium. Winter feels less oppressive, summer less overwhelming, as if your internal climate control systems learned to work with rather than against environmental variations. The cave experience continues revealing new layers of influence and insight as time passes. What began as extraordinary sleep in a unique environment has become a cornerstone of your understanding about human potential and the relationship between optimal conditions and natural healing. The crystals may no longer surround your rest, but their lessons about patience, growth, and accumulated beauty continue guiding your approach to living. In quiet moments, particularly during the transition between waking and sleeping, you can still access the cave's perfect silence, still feel the gentle pulse of crystalline formations, still breathe air purified by passage through geological time. The experience lives within you now as a portable sanctuary, a reminder of what peace actually feels like and what healing becomes possible when we align ourselves with the Earth's ancient wisdom. The Crystal Cave Hotel was never just accommodation for a night. It was an initiation into deeper understanding of what human beings are capable of when freed from the accumulated interference of artificial environments. In sleeping within those chambers carved by geological time, you didn't just rest your body. You remembered your birthright as a creature of this living planet, deserving of the restoration and beauty that natural systems offer to those wise enough to receive their gifts. Your transformation continues unfolding, not as a memory that fades, but as a foundation that strengthens with time. The cave taught you that profound healing doesn't require dramatic interventions or expensive treatments, but sometimes simply creating space for your own natural systems to function as they were designed. In learning to sleep within the Earth's embrace, you discovered resources for restoration that will serve you throughout whatever adventures and challenges await in your continuing journey through this remarkable existence. The months that follow your Crystal Cave experience bring revelations that unfold like the slow growth of the formations themselves. You discover that transformation doesn't announce itself with fanfare, but whispers through subtle shifts in how you move through your days. Your morning routine evolves without conscious planning. Where coffee once felt essential for basic functioning, you now wake naturally alert, your nervous system operating from a baseline of calm energy rather than caffeinated urgency. Standing in your shower at home, you notice how different the water feels compared to those mineral-rich springs that cascaded over you in the cave. Municipal water, treated with chemicals and stripped of its natural properties, seems almost artificial now against your skin. You find yourself installing a filtration system, not from any health obsession, but because your body has learned to recognize the difference between dead water and living water. Your workspace transforms gradually through small adjustments that honor what you learned underground. You position your desk to catch natural light whenever possible, introduce plants that improve air quality, and create small ritual moments of silence throughout your day. Colleagues notice something different about your presence during meetings. You listen with a quality of attention that makes others feel heard in ways they can't quite articulate. The electromagnetic sensitivity that initially felt overwhelming becomes a valuable navigation system. You intuitively choose restaurant tables away from Wi-Fi routers, sleep with your phone in another room without thinking about it, and create small sanctuaries in your living space that honor natural rhythms. This isn't paranoia about technology, but refined awareness of what supports optimal functioning versus what creates subtle interference. Your relationship with exercise undergoes a fundamental shift. Movement becomes less about forcing your body into compliance and more about listening to what it needs. Yoga poses that were previously challenging now feel accessible and stable. Walking transforms into moving meditation as your feet automatically seek balanced contact with whatever surface you're traversing. The cave's perfect ergonomic support retrained your neuromuscular system toward alignment that continues improving with time. Sleep architecture throughout your life operates at upgraded levels of efficiency. Even years later, you cycle through rest stages more completely and wake feeling genuinely restored, rather than simply less tired. Your bedroom may lack crystal formations, but you've learned to create conditions that honor the deep restoration you experienced underground. This isn't about expensive sleep technology, but understanding what your nervous system actually requires. Food relationships continue evolving in subtle but significant directions. Flavors seem more distinct and satisfying, while your body's hunger signals operate with greater precision. You naturally gravitate toward nourishing choices without conscious dietary restrictions, as if the mineral-rich environment permanently recalibrated your internal chemistry. Processed foods that once seemed normal now taste artificial and unsatisfying. Your immune system functions with enhanced intelligence years after your cave sleep. Seasonal illnesses that once knocked you out for weeks now pass quickly with minimal symptoms. Your inflammatory responses remain calibrated at appropriate levels, no longer overreacting to minor irritants while maintaining strong defenses against genuine threats. The cave seems to have taught your cellular systems optimal discrimination. Social dynamics shift in ways that surprise both you and others. You're drawn to people who embody similar qualities of presence and groundedness, while relationships based primarily on shared anxiety or complaint feel less compelling. Your baseline for meaningful connection has been elevated without becoming judgmental. Conversations naturally go deeper because you've learned to create space for authentic sharing. Creative capacities operate with enhanced fluency and originality. Ideas flow more freely during brainstorming sessions, while artistic projects develop with less struggle and more organic unfolding. Solutions to complex problems often emerge from intuitive understanding rather than forced analysis. The cave's timeless environment appears to have connected you with creative resources that operate outside normal temporal constraints. Decision-making processes remain streamlined years after your underground retreat. Instead of endless mental loops analyzing possibilities, choices often emerge from deeper knowing that feels both rational and intuitive. You trust initial assessments while staying open to new information, having learned the difference between helpful deliberation and paralyzing overthinking. Your relationship with material possessions undergoes continuous evolution toward greater simplicity and satisfaction. The acquisitive drive that once felt urgent now seems optional, while appreciation for what you already have deepens significantly. The cave's demonstration of how little is actually required for profound well-being continues informing your purchasing decisions and lifestyle choices. Physical coordination and balance operate at levels you never achieved before your crystal cave experience. Movement feels more integrated and effortless, whether you're practicing formal fitness routines or simply navigating daily activities. Dance becomes more expressive, sports more intuitive. Even cooking involves your whole body in more harmonious ways. Temperature regulation throughout your system functions with remarkable efficiency. You're comfortable in wider ranges of environmental conditions, less reactive to heat and cold extremes. Your circulation flows more evenly, bringing appropriate warmth to extremities, while cooling mechanisms work smoothly without creating uncomfortable swings. Recovery from illness, injury, or emotional trauma happens more quickly and completely than before your cave sleep. Your body's healing systems operate with greater intelligence and efficiency. Setbacks that might previously have required weeks or months now resolve in days, as if the underground environment upgraded your regenerative capacities at the cellular level. The psychological benefits prove among the most stable and enduring aspects of your transformation. Baseline mood remains elevated toward contentment and curiosity rather than anxiety and complaint. When difficult emotions arise, they feel more like weather passing through rather than permanent features of your internal landscape. Your nervous system continues distinguishing between genuine threats requiring immediate response and artificial urgencies created by modern life's accelerated pace. You respond appropriately to real emergencies while remaining unperturbed by manufactured crises. This improved threat assessment feels natural rather than practiced, suggesting deep recalibration of fundamental survival mechanisms. Environmental awareness expands naturally from your cave experience without becoming obsessive or activist-driven. You notice air quality changes that others miss, sense when indoor spaces have poor ventilation, and gravitate toward natural materials and lighting. These preferences emerge from genuine sensitivity rather than intellectual health concepts. Seasonal changes affect you with greater harmony rather than resistance. Winter feels less oppressive, summer less overwhelming. Your body flows more smoothly with natural light cycles and temperature variations while maintaining internal stability. The cave's constant optimal environment taught your regulatory systems new levels of precision and adaptability. Your capacity for solitude expands dramatically over time. Periods alone no longer feel like something to endure or fill with distractions, but rather like valuable space for processing, creating, and simply being. The cave's perfect silence taught you the difference between loneliness and productive solitude, between boredom and fertile emptiness. Dreams continue carrying the cave's influence years after your return. They remain more coherent and memorable, often providing creative solutions to problems you're working through in waking life. The boundary between sleeping and waking wisdom feels more permeable, as if the crystal formations taught your subconscious new ways of processing and integrating information. The quality of your attention operates at higher resolution and clarity. Tasks that previously required significant mental effort now feel more effortless and flowing. You notice subtleties in conversations that you used to miss, not through trying harder to pay attention, but because the mental static that once interfered with clear perception has been substantially reduced. Communication skills improve in ways that benefit everyone around you. You listen more completely, speak more precisely, and navigate conflicts with greater skill and emotional stability. The cave's perfect acoustics seem to have taught you how to hear not just words, but the intentions and needs beneath them, making every interaction more satisfying. Your relationship with time undergoes persistent but subtle transformation. Deadlines exist, schedules matter, but the underlying urgency about temporal pressure dissolves into deeper trust in natural timing. Projects unfold more organically, conversations develop at their own pace, and you arrive places exactly when needed, often without conscious planning. The cave's influence on work life proves consistently beneficial without requiring career changes. Whatever work you do develops with less struggle and more organic flow. Collaborative relationships improve through your enhanced listening skills and emotional stability. Challenges feel more like interesting puzzles to solve rather than sources of overwhelming stress. Your intuitive faculties operate with increased reliability and precision years after your crystal cave sleep. Gut feelings about people, situations, and decisions prove accurate more consistently than before your underground experience. You've learned to trust these subtle information streams while maintaining appropriate rational analysis. Physical health improvements continue accumulating over time rather than plateauing. Chronic conditions that seemed permanent begin resolving gradually. Energy levels stabilize at higher baselines. Sleep quality remains consistently restorative. The cave appears to have initiated healing processes that continue working automatically without requiring constant maintenance or artificial support. Recovery patterns suggest that the benefits compound over time rather than diminishing. Each year brings new discoveries about capacities that the underground environment awakened. Your baseline for health, creativity, and inner peace continues slowly but steadily improving, as if the crystal formations planted seeds that keep growing throughout your life. The transformation extends beyond personal benefits into your understanding of what human beings are capable of when placed in optimal environments. The cave revealed that much of what we accept as normal aging, chronic stress, and emotional limitation might actually be responses to suboptimal living conditions, rather than inevitable aspects of human existence. This realization carries implications that extend far beyond individual wellness into questions about how society structures living and working environments. If one night in a crystal cave can produce such lasting improvements, what might be possible if we designed our homes, offices, and cities to better support natural human rhythms and healing processes? Your experience becomes a kind of research data point in your understanding of environmental medicine and the relationship between place and well-being. You begin noticing how different spaces affect your energy, mood, and cognitive function using your recalibrated sensitivity as a tool for making choices that optimize your daily experience. The cave taught you that healing isn't always about adding interventions or treatments, but sometimes about removing obstacles to your body's natural restoration processes. This understanding influences everything from the products you choose for your home to the relationships you maintain to the activities you prioritize in your schedule. Years later, the Crystal Cave experience continues serving as a reference point for evaluating other wellness approaches and healing modalities. You can distinguish between interventions that support your natural systems and those that work against them, having experienced what optimal support actually feels like at the cellular level. Friends and family continue noticing changes they find compelling but can't quite identify. Some request recommendations for similar experiences, while others simply enjoy being around your increased presence and calm. You become a walking example of what's possible through profound restoration, though you rarely need to actively promote the experience. The social ripple effects of your transformation continue expanding in unexpected directions. People naturally share more authentic parts of themselves in conversation with you. You become a catalyst for deeper connections without trying to be, simply by embodying the groundedness you discovered underground. Your presence seems to give others permission to slow down and connect with their own natural rhythms. Environmental choices become intuitive rather than effortful. You naturally seek out spaces with good air quality, natural lighting, and minimal electromagnetic interference. These aren't conscious health strategies, but automatic gravitational pulls toward conditions that support your well-being, preferences that developed from your recalibrated sensitivity to environmental factors. Your relationship with technology evolves toward more conscious and selective use without becoming anti-technology. While you don't abandon electronic devices entirely, you use them as tools rather than allowing them to use you. The constant connectivity that once felt necessary now seems optional, freeing up mental and emotional resources for more meaningful pursuits. The cave's lessons about patience and geological time continue informing your approach to personal growth and life goals. Instead of expecting immediate results or dramatic changes, you appreciate slow, steady development that builds over time. This patience paradoxically accelerates your progress in most areas of life by reducing the resistance that comes from forcing outcomes. Your capacity for joy and appreciation expands continuously from the cave experience. Simple pleasures feel more satisfying. Beautiful moments penetrate more deeply. And even difficult experiences carry lessons that feel valuable rather than just painful. The cave's demonstration of natural perfection recalibrated your ability to recognize beauty and meaning in ordinary circumstances. The integration of your Crystal Cave experience into daily life happens gradually and organically, rather than through forced lifestyle changes. Benefits emerge naturally from your transformed baseline, rather than requiring constant maintenance or artificial support. This suggests that the cave provided healing at very deep levels that continue influencing your well-being automatically. Memory of that perfect underground sleep becomes a touchstone you can access whenever life feels particularly challenging or chaotic. In quiet moments, especially during the transition between waking and sleeping, you can still feel the gentle pulse of those crystalline walls, still hear the distant music of underground water, still breathe air that carries the essence of minerals formed over geological time. The Crystal Cave lives within you now as a portable sanctuary, a reminder of what peace actually feels like and what healing becomes possible when we align ourselves with the Earth's ancient wisdom. Your transformation continues unfolding, not as a memory that fades, but as a foundation that strengthens with time, supporting whatever adventures and challenges await in your continuing journey through this remarkable existence. What began as a single night in an extraordinary accommodation has become a cornerstone of your understanding about human potential and our relationship with natural healing systems. The cave didn't just provide rest, it provided a profound education about what becomes possible when we remember our place within the Earth's own architecture of restoration and renewal. Years pass, and the crystal cave experience continues revealing itself like layers of sediment slowly exposed by erosion. You discover that transformation operates on geological time, measured not in days or weeks, but in the quiet accumulation of small changes that eventually reshape entire landscapes of being. Your relationship with morning light undergoes subtle recalibration. Where harsh fluorescent office lighting once felt normal, you now notice how it creates a low-grade tension in your nervous system. You find yourself gravitating toward windows, seeking the full spectrum illumination that your eyes remember from those crystal reflections. Colleagues comment on how you seem more present during early meetings, not knowing that your circadian rhythms now dance to older music than digital alarm clocks. The way you inhabit your body shifts in ways that become apparent only through contrast. Visiting friends in cramped city apartments, you notice how your breathing automatically adjusts to confined spaces, but never fully constricts the way it once did. Your ribcage maintains the expansion it learned in those high-ceiling chambers, where every breath carried the essence of deep earth minerals. Even in elevators or subway cars, some part of your respiratory system remembers what unlimited space feels like. Conversations with strangers take on unexpected depth and resonance. Whether waiting in line at the grocery store or sitting beside someone on a long flight, people seem drawn to share more personal stories with you. You realize this isn't because you've become more outgoing or charming, but because your listening has acquired qualities that make others feel genuinely heard. The cave's perfect acoustics taught you to receive sound without immediately preparing your response, creating space for authentic exchange. Your tolerance for synthetic environments decreases while your appreciation for natural ones intensifies. Shopping malls that once seemed normal now feel overwhelming with their artificial lighting and recycled air, but spending time in forests or near bodies of water produces effects that border on euphoric. Your nervous system recognizes these environments as medicine, responding with immediate relaxation and heightened awareness that feels like coming home. The quality of your sleep continues evolving in directions that surprise even you. Dreams become more narrative and coherent, often providing creative solutions to challenges you're processing in waking life. But more remarkably, you begin experiencing what you can only call healing dreams, where your subconscious seems to work through physical tensions or emotional blocks during rest. You wake feeling not just rested, but actively restored, as if your sleep has become a nightly repair session. Your immune system's upgraded functioning becomes most apparent during periods when everyone around you falls ill. Colds and flu viruses that sweep through your workplace or social circle seem to pass by you entirely, or manifest as brief periods of increased energy and clarity rather than debilitating symptoms. It's as if your cellular defenses learned new strategies during that underground retreat and continue applying those lessons years later. Physical movement transforms into something closer to dance, even during mundane activities. Walking to your car, reaching for items on high shelves, even typing at your computer involves your whole body in more integrated ways. The cave's natural ergonomics retrained your neuromuscular system toward alignment that makes every gesture more efficient and graceful. People sometimes comment that you seem to glide rather than walk. Your relationship with weather patterns undergoes fundamental change. Instead of dreading winter or complaining about summer heat, you find yourself appreciating each season's unique qualities with genuine enthusiasm. Your body's temperature regulation operates so efficiently that you're comfortable in conditions that once required multiple layers of clothing or constant air conditioning adjustments. The cave taught your internal climate control systems new levels of sophistication. Food preparation becomes a meditative practice rather than a chore. Your hands seem to know instinctively which ingredients will nourish versus merely fill you. Cooking transforms into a creative expression where flavors combine in harmonious ways that surprise and delight, not just you, but anyone who shares your meals. The mineral-rich environment recalibrated your taste buds toward combinations that support optimal cellular function. Your capacity for handling conflict and stress expands dramatically without becoming passive or avoidant. When challenging situations arise, you find yourself responding from a place of centered strength rather than reactive emotion. The cave's ancient patience seems to flow through your responses, allowing you to stay present with difficulty while maintaining clarity about constructive next steps. Digital technology relationships continue evolving toward greater discernment and intentionality. You use devices when they serve specific purposes, but find the constant connectivity that once felt essential now seems optional. Social media scrolling that once consumed hours becomes brief, purposeful check-ins. Your attention has become too valuable to spend on content that doesn't genuinely enrich your understanding or connection with others. Creative projects develop with an organic intelligence that feels almost effortless. Whether you're writing, painting, problem-solving at work, or simply rearranging furniture in your living space, solutions emerge from intuitive understanding rather than forced analysis. The cave's timeless environment seems to have connected you with creative resources that operate outside normal constraints of linear thinking. Your nervous system's threat detection operates with enhanced accuracy and appropriate calibration. You respond quickly and effectively to genuine emergencies while remaining unperturbed by artificial urgencies created by advertising, news cycles, or social pressure. This discrimination feels natural rather than practiced, suggesting deep recalibration of fundamental survival mechanisms that continue protecting your energy and attention. Relationships deepen across all categories of your social life. Family interactions become more authentic and less performative. Friendships develop qualities of mutual support and genuine interest that feel sustainable over decades, rather than dependent on shared activities or circumstances. Even professional relationships carry more respect and collaboration because your presence encourages others to show up as their most competent and creative selves. Your understanding of time continues shifting in subtle but profound directions. Productivity culture's emphasis on efficiency and optimization feels increasingly irrelevant as you discover that focusing completely on one thing at a time actually accomplishes more with less effort than multitasking or rushing. The cave's demonstration of how beautiful things develop slowly has recalibrated your expectations about meaningful progress. Physical health improvements accumulate rather than plateau, suggesting that the cave initiated processes that continue working automatically. Chronic conditions that seem permanent begin resolving gradually. Energy levels stabilize at higher baselines. Recovery from illness or injury happens more quickly and completely. Your body seems to have learned new strategies for maintaining optimal function that don't require constant conscious support. The electromagnetic sensitivity that initially felt burdensome transforms into valuable environmental intelligence. You instinctively choose seating in restaurants that feels energetically comfortable, sleep with electronic devices in other rooms without thinking about it, and create small sanctuaries in your living spaces that honor natural rhythms. This sensitivity helps you make choices that optimize your well-being throughout each day. Your capacity for presence during important life events deepens continuously. Whether celebrating achievements, supporting friends through difficulties, or simply enjoying ordinary moments, you're more fully available without the mental distraction that once characterized your participation in life. The cave taught you how to inhabit experiences completely rather than observing them from a distance while planning your next move. Environmental awareness expands naturally without becoming obsessive or politically driven. You notice air quality changes that others miss, sense when indoor spaces have poor ventilation, and gravitate toward natural materials and lighting whenever possible. These preferences emerge from genuine sensitivity rather than intellectual health concepts, creating living spaces that support rather than drain your vitality. Decision-making processes remain streamlined years after your underground retreat. Instead of endless analysis and second-guessing, choices often emerge from deeper knowing that integrates both rational assessment and intuitive wisdom. You trust initial impressions while staying open to new information, having learned to distinguish between helpful deliberation and paralyzing overthinking. Your relationship with material possessions continues evolving toward greater simplicity and satisfaction. The acquisitive drive that once felt urgent becomes optional, while appreciation for what you already have deepens significantly. Shopping becomes purposeful rather than recreational. The cave's demonstration of how little is actually required for profound well-being continues informing your lifestyle choices and financial priorities. Recovery from emotional challenges happens more quickly and completely than before your cave experience. Grief processes fully, rather than getting stuck in prolonged depression. Anger transforms into useful information about boundaries rather than destructive rage. Fear becomes appropriate caution rather than paralyzing anxiety. Your emotional system seems to have learned more efficient ways of processing difficult experiences. The psychological benefits prove among the most stable and enduring aspects of your transformation. Baseline mood remains elevated toward curiosity and contentment rather than worry and complaint. When challenging emotions arise, they feel more like weather passing through rather than permanent features of your internal landscape. The cave's ancient stability seems to have become part of your psychological foundation. Your intuitive faculties operate with increased reliability and precision years after your crystal cave sleep. Gut feelings about people, situations, and decisions prove accurate more consistently than before your underground experience. You've learned to trust these subtle information streams while maintaining appropriate rational analysis, integrating both forms of intelligence in your daily choices. Social dynamics shift in ways that benefit everyone involved. You're naturally drawn to people who embody similar qualities of presence and authenticity, while relationships based primarily on shared anxiety or complaint feel less compelling. Your baseline for meaningful connection has been elevated without becoming judgmental or exclusive of others who operate from different foundations. Communication skills continue improving in ways that make every interaction more satisfying. You listen more completely, speak more precisely, and navigate conflicts with greater skill and emotional stability. The cave's perfect acoustics seem to have taught you how to hear not just words, but the needs and intentions beneath them, creating space for genuine understanding. Work life transforms not through career changes, but through how you approach whatever professional responsibilities you have. Projects develop with less struggle and more organic flow. Collaborative relationships improve through your enhanced listening skills and emotional stability. Challenges feel more like interesting puzzles to solve rather than sources of overwhelming stress or burnout. Your capacity for solitude expands dramatically over time. Periods alone no longer feel like something to endure or fill with distractions, but rather like valuable space for processing, creating, and simply being. The cave's perfect silence taught you the difference between loneliness and productive solitude, between boredom and fertile emptiness where insights and creative solutions naturally arise. Temperature regulation throughout your body operates with remarkable precision and efficiency. You're comfortable in wider ranges of environmental conditions, less reactive to heat and cold extremes. Your circulation flows more evenly, bringing appropriate warmth to extremities, while cooling mechanisms work smoothly without creating uncomfortable fluctuations that once characterized your responses to weather changes. Dreams continue carrying the cave's influence in ways that prove practically useful, rather than just mystically interesting. They remain more coherent and memorable, often providing creative solutions to problems you're working through in waking life. The boundary between sleeping and waking wisdom feels more permeable, as if the crystal formations taught your subconscious new ways of processing and integrating information. Physical coordination and balance operate at levels you never achieved before your crystal cave experience. Movement feels more integrated and effortless, whether you're practicing formal exercise routines or simply navigating daily activities. Dancing becomes more expressive, sports more intuitive. Even routine tasks like cooking or cleaning involve your whole body in more harmonious and efficient ways. The quality of your attention operates at higher resolution and clarity years after your return from underground. Tasks that previously required significant mental effort now feel more effortless and flowing. You notice subtleties in conversations and environmental details that you used to miss, not through trying harder to pay attention, but because the mental static that once interfered with clear perception has been substantially and permanently reduced. Your relationship with seasonal changes becomes increasingly harmonious rather than resistant. Winter feels less oppressive, summer less overwhelming. Your body flows more smoothly with natural light cycles and temperature variations while maintaining internal stability. The cave's constant optimal environment taught your regulatory systems new levels of precision and adaptability that continue serving you. Recovery from illness, injury, or emotional trauma happens more quickly and completely than before your cave sleep. Your body's healing systems operate with greater intelligence and efficiency. Setbacks that might previously have required weeks or months now resolve in days, as if the underground environment upgraded your regenerative capacities at the cellular level, with improvements that compound over time. The cave's lessons about patience and geological time continue informing your approach to personal growth and life goals. Instead of expecting immediate results or dramatic changes, you appreciate slow, steady development that builds sustainable foundations. This patience paradoxically accelerates your progress in most areas of life by reducing the resistance that comes from forcing outcomes or timeline expectations. Your capacity for joy and appreciation expands continuously from the cave experience. Simple pleasures feel more satisfying, beautiful moments penetrate more deeply, and even difficult experiences carry lessons that feel valuable rather than just painful. The cave's demonstration of natural perfection recalibrated your ability to recognize beauty and meaning in circumstances that might previously have seemed ordinary or challenging. Environmental choices become intuitive rather than effortful or rule-based. You naturally seek out spaces with good air quality, natural lighting, and minimal electromagnetic interference. These aren't conscious health strategies, but automatic gravitational pulls toward conditions that support your well-being, preferences that developed from your recalibrated sensitivity to factors that influence optimal functioning. So there you have it. One night in a crystal cave hotel. A journey that begins with curiosity and ends with transformation that ripples through every aspect of your existence for years to come. You checked into what seemed like an unusual accommodation and discovered something far more profound. A reset button for your entire understanding of what human wellness actually means. The crystals may no longer surround your sleep, but their lessons about patience, growth, and the slow accumulation of beauty continue guiding your daily choices. You carry within you now a portable sanctuary, a reminder that profound healing is always available when we align ourselves with the Earth's ancient wisdom and trust in the living systems that created and sustain us.